Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. The week begins beneath a cloud of quiet menace where every smile hides a secret and every conversation carries the weight of unseen consequences. As the first days of August unfold, an unsettling sense of inevitability settles over Fairmont Crest, and nowhere is that feeling stronger than around Bill Hamilton. For Haley Lawson, this is the moment she has been waiting for with chilling patience, believing that Bill's latest physical collapse could finally become the last chapter of his life. While everyone else worries about his declining health, Haley watches from the shadows with entirely different expectations, convinced that fate is finally beginning to cooperate with the deadly plan she has so carefully orchestrated. At the same time, another devastating storm begins forming elsewhere as Eva Thomas Richardson receives news so alarming that it threatens to shake not only her future, but possibly her very survival. As lives begin unraveling in different corners of Fairmont Crest, old enemies sharpen their attacks, hidden stalkers become bolder, fragile relationships start to crack, and the week quickly transforms into one where every decision could change everything. Monday arrives with emotions running high, opening another chapter in Bill Hamilton's increasingly tragic decline. Surprisingly, Bill chooses to confide in someone no one would ever expect, a remarkable decision considering how few genuine allies remain in his life after years of strained relationships and painful betrayals. Vernon Dupree seems like one possibility after their recent heartfelt conversation, while Anita Dupree also remains someone who has shown him unexpected compassion, despite making it clear she has no desire to welcome him back into the family. The most shocking possibility would be Andre Richardson, whose relationship with Bill has long been defined by constant arguments rather than trust, making such a confession almost unimaginable. Yet even those who no longer want Bill anywhere near their family cannot completely ignore a man whose health continues deteriorating before everyone's eyes. Concern begins replacing resentment, creating complicated emotions that blur the lines between forgiveness and lingering bitterness. While Bill searches for someone willing to listen, another mystery quietly begins unfolding as someone secretly keeps watch over Randy Parker. The surveillance immediately raises uncomfortable questions because Randy's regular meetings with Haley have already become suspicious enough without someone tracking his every move. Unknown to most observers, people continue assuming Randy is secretly involved romantically with Haley, never realizing the truth is far more complicated and infinitely more dangerous. Every glance, every meeting, and every whispered conversation now carries the possibility that someone could uncover the horrifying conspiracy hidden beneath the surface. As invisible eyes follow Randy's movements, the pressure steadily builds around everyone connected to Haley, making it only a matter of time before someone's carefully protected secrets begin slipping into the light. That growing tension follows Haley directly to Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne's doorstep when she unexpectedly appears before Bill's daughters. The moment Naomi opens the door, her sarcastic greeting instantly captures the atmosphere surrounding Haley's presence, making it abundantly clear she is anything but welcome. Chelsea Hamilton wastes no time demanding to know exactly why Haley has come, her suspicion written across every word as she refuses to hide her distrust. The visit sends immediate shockwaves through the family, with Danny Dupree and Vanessa McBride already harboring serious doubts about Haley's loyalty. Convinced that something is deeply wrong, they gather with Anita Dupree to compare everything they have noticed, and Danny openly voices the belief that Haley is cheating on Bill. Although their conclusion points toward Randy as Haley's supposed secret lover, the reality remains far darker than simple infidelity because Randy is actually her cousin, and together they are hiding a conspiracy far more sinister than an affair. Anita delays something as ordinary as her massage appointment simply to hear everything Danny and Vanessa have uncovered, understanding that even the smallest detail could become important. The women carefully piece together their observations, unknowingly assembling fragments of a puzzle whose true picture remains concealed behind Haley's flawless performance. Every suspicion they express edges them closer to discovering the truth, even if they still misunderstand the relationship between Haley and Randy. What none of them realizes is that exposing an affair would be the least shocking outcome imaginable compared to uncovering an active murder plot. The irony hangs heavily over every conversation, allowing viewers to watch with growing anticipation as innocent misunderstandings slowly inch toward terrifying reality. Each passing discussion quietly tightens the noose around Haley's carefully maintained deception. Elsewhere, Mona Wilson decides to make a daring move of her own by hustling Joey Armstrong into an unusual game of cards with something precious placed on the line as the wager. Joey, who rarely allows anyone to outmaneuver him, finds himself caught off guard by Mona's unexpectedly bold behavior, especially considering the respectable image she usually projects. Watching Mona place her hand reassuringly over Randy's, it almost appears as though she believes she has everything under control. Randy, however, understands the terrifying stakes far better than anyone else sitting at that table. Unlike Mona, he knows his life is hanging by the thinnest thread, and provoking Joey could have consequences far beyond losing a simple card game. Joey has already shown there is absolutely no chance he intends to let Randy simply walk away, making every calculated move during their tense interaction feel like another dangerous step toward disaster. By Tuesday, the carefully crafted murder plot encounters an unexpected obstacle when Bill receives new information regarding his health, forcing Haley to immediately rethink everything. Her original plan had been chillingly straightforward: convince Bill to travel with her to a beautiful tropical destination where she could finish poisoning him far away from curious neighbors, familiar doctors, and the scrutiny that comes with remaining close to home. In a distant paradise, his death could appear natural, raising far fewer questions than another collapse within the DMV. But fate suddenly shifts the playing field, leaving Haley scrambling to adjust her strategy before circumstances spiral beyond her control. Every new medical update threatens to disrupt months of manipulation, forcing her to improvise while desperately protecting the horrifying secret she has worked so hard to conceal. As the walls slowly begin closing around her, the cracks in her carefully maintained composure become just a little easier to see. At the very same time, Naomi quietly begins investigating on her own, refusing to ignore the uneasy feeling that something about Haley's behavior simply does not make sense. Chelsea also starts asking difficult questions, taking her concerns directly to Bill's law office, where she seeks answers from Caroline, one of the very few genuine friends Haley actually has. Caroline suddenly finds herself caught between professional loyalty, personal friendships, and growing suspicions that something is terribly wrong. Another individual considers helping uncover the truth as well, but understands just how dangerous it can be to interfere in a boss's troubled marriage. The closer everyone gets to asking the right questions, the greater the risk becomes that Haley's carefully hidden scheme will finally be exposed. For the first time since she began poisoning Bill, it feels as though events are slipping beyond her complete control, setting the stage for even greater confrontations still to come. As Wednesday dawns, the emotional fault lines running beneath Fairmont Crest become impossible to ignore, and the elegant surroundings of the Fairmont Crest Country Club provide little comfort against the bitterness brewing within its members. What should have been an ordinary social encounter quickly turns into another painful public humiliation when Leslie Thomas once again sets her sights on Nicole Dupree Richardson. Spotting Nicole engaged in a conversation with Carlton Fitzgerald, Leslie seizes the opportunity to wound her with a cutting remark delivered loudly enough to ensure everyone nearby notices. Her words are sharp, deliberate, and dripping with resentment, revealing that this is far more than casual hostility. Leslie's anger continues to burn because Ted Richardson has chosen Shanice Johnson and given his heart to someone else, leaving Leslie consumed by rejection and determined to lash out at anyone caught within reach. Rather than healing from her heartbreak, she transforms every public encounter into another battlefield, forcing Nicole to endure yet another humiliating confrontation, while Carlton watches the painful exchange unfold. Elsewhere, another family faces an entirely different kind of emotional explosion as Tyrell Richardson's carefully made plans begin falling apart. The disappointment quickly escalates into a fierce confrontation with Martin Richardson, who refuses to tolerate what he sees as Tyrell's lack of commitment to his future. Martin's patience finally reaches its breaking point as he bluntly tells Tyrell that he will not allow him to stumble through college with only half-hearted effort. The pressure that has been building inside Tyrell for weeks suddenly erupts as he fires back, admitting that he is exhausted from constantly living according to everyone else's expectations instead of his own dreams, declaring that he is now 18 years old and capable of making his own decisions. He storms away in frustration after offering a bitter, sarcastic apology. The argument leaves behind a painful silence, exposing just how fragile the relationship has become between a father desperate to protect his son's future and a young man determined to find his own path, no matter how messy that journey becomes. The emotional strain within the Dupree family refuses to ease, and Anita Dupree finds herself reaching a point where difficult decisions can no longer be postponed. At some point during the week, she gives one of her daughters a firm deadline, a decision that may very well revolve around Danny Dupree's increasingly complicated connection to Bill Hamilton. Anita has watched the endless cycle of heartbreak, disappointment, and emotional chaos continue for far too long, and she now appears ready to force a resolution rather than allowing the situation to drag on indefinitely. That mounting frustration becomes painfully visible as she sits alone at the piano, striking the keys with unusual force instead of creating the graceful music for which she is known. Each frustrated note echoes like an expression of emotions she can no longer contain. Vernon Dupree quietly watches from nearby, his face filled with concern as he realizes that even Anita, the family's emotional anchor, is beginning to crack beneath the weight of everything happening around them. While Anita wrestles with her own frustrations, Vernon finds himself engaged in an important conversation with Isaiah Hawthorne. Their discussion naturally turns toward Eva Thomas Richardson, someone whose future has become deeply important to both men for very different reasons. Vernon has watched Eva endure one hardship after another, and he cannot ignore the growing fear that something else may now be threatening her life. Those fears soon appear heartbreakingly justified as devastating news reaches Isaiah concerning the woman he loves. The possibility that Ava's liver transplant may be failing suddenly becomes terrifyingly real, raising the horrifying question of whether her body is beginning to reject the precious gift that had once offered her a second chance at life. Every hopeful step she had taken since the transplant now feels uncertain again, casting a heavy shadow over everyone who has fought so hard to help her survive. What once seemed like a story of recovery now threatens to become another heartbreaking medical crisis. Thursday brings no relief from the mounting tension. Instead, the pressure surrounding Haley's dangerous secret continues building until even Randy Parker finds himself unable to avoid uncomfortable confrontations. Danny Dupree corners him with pointed questions, convinced that he is secretly involved with Haley in a romantic affair. Ironically, Randy has already allowed Joey Armstrong to believe exactly that lie because, compared to the horrifying truth, an affair seems almost harmless. Admitting that he is helping Haley carry out a calculated murder plot would place every life involved in immediate danger, making deception seem like the only possible option. Now, Danny unknowingly pushes him toward revealing answers he simply cannot afford to give, forcing Randy to balance suspicion, fear, and survival with every carefully chosen word. The lies continue multiplying, each one making it even harder to escape the consequences waiting just ahead. At nearly the same time, Bill finds himself locked in another emotional confrontation, this time with Chelsea, whose concerns about Haley have become impossible to hide. Chelsea challenges her father's unwavering trust, questioning whether Haley truly has his best interests at heart, while Bill struggles to defend the woman he still believes loves him. Watching this painful exchange unfold, it becomes increasingly obvious that the walls are closing in around Haley from every direction. Family members are asking difficult questions, friends are quietly investigating, and circumstances continue shifting beyond her control. Every conversation increases the risk that someone will finally connect the scattered clues and uncover the horrifying truth behind Bill's mysterious illness. Haley's confidence begins showing the first real signs of strain as her carefully engineered plan edges dangerously close to collapse. The emotional turmoil extends far beyond Bill's household as Leslie once again clashes with Ted Richardson, their argument seemingly fueled by the devastating news surrounding Eva. Whatever information has reached them has reopened old wounds and intensified already fragile relationships. Meanwhile, another danger quietly returns to Andre Richardson's life when the mysterious woman from his past decides to make her presence impossible to ignore. After previously sending champagne and secretly watching Andre alongside Danny, the stalker now appears ready to escalate her campaign, proving that her obsession has never truly ended. What began as unsettling reminders from the past is rapidly transforming into something far more threatening, leaving Andre increasingly convinced that someone is deliberately pulling him into a dangerous game. Every unexpected gift, every hidden glance, and every unexplained encounter now feels like another calculated move designed to unsettle him. As the day winds toward its close, Nicole and Carlton finally have an honest conversation about where their complicated relationship stands. Carlton desperately wants something deeper and more permanent, believing their connection deserves a genuine future together. Nicole, however, remains emotionally hesitant, especially with Kyle Rollins occupying so much of her attention and affection. Kyle has become the man she naturally gravitates toward, leaving Carlton painfully aware that he may always be standing in second place. Although the conversation allows both of them to reach a better understanding of each other's feelings, it offers no easy solution to the emotional triangle that continues pulling all three lives in different directions. Sometimes understanding another person's heart only makes accepting reality even more painful, and by the time Thursday comes to an end, every character seems to sense that Friday will bring consequences none of them can escape.